nobody panic. I got a haircut. It's not a big deal. Well, it kind of is for me because I live in Florida and summertime gets pretty hot. So, yeah. But don't worry, if you miss the old hair, it'll grow back. Believe me. It'll grow back with a vengeance. So a while back I did a top 10 video about my favorite DC animated movies. I will leave a link to that below so you can check that out whenever you can. But because DC always comes out with these movies every year, there's usually like 3 of them, I decided to do them for Rob Watches as well. So every time a new one comes out, I'll make a video about it. And the most recent one to come out is Batman Assault on Arkham. Or Assault on Arkham Batman. To whoever designed this cover, learn to lay out! Sorry, that's the graphic designer background talking. So this movie takes place in the storyline of the Arkham video games, which have been some of my favorite video games. Now, this one takes place, I believe, as a prequel to Arkham Origins, which sadly is the only game in the series I haven't played. So you're gonna have to bear with me if I miss out on a few references that took place in the video game. I do want to play it at some point. I just been busy making YouTube videos. This is surprisingly harder than it looks. So the story here is that the Riddler stole some information from Amanda Waller, so she puts together this misfit team of villains to break into Arkham Asylum and get it back from him. And the catch is that she puts these devices in the back of their necks that if they disobey a rule, they get their head exploded, which, let's just say there's a couple members of the team I'm not going to spend too much time talking about. Oof. So basically they're the Expendables, except that they're supervillains. And you know what, I was surprised to see that there was a bunch of villains in here that I've actually never heard of. There's this one guy called King Shark, who's this big, mean guy with gray skin, and he eats people. So basically he's Killer Croc, except he's a shark. Also, I was under the impression that this was a Batman story, so I was wondering why some other villains were in this. Like, isn't Captain Boomerang one of Flash's villains? What the hell is he doing in Gotham? But I was kind of interested in some of them, especially Deadshot, who is the de facto leader of the team. I don't know much about his character outside of I had to beat him up one time in the Arkham games, but he does seem pretty complex for a guy who spends his time shooting people. But by far, winner of Best Character in the movie goes to Harley Quinn, who this time around is voiced by Hayden Walsh, who also has some DC tenure, as of course most people know her as the voice of Starfire from the Teen Titans cartoon. And she was amazing in this. Just the things she said and the things she did, it's Harley Quinn. How can you not love Harley Quinn? I really like this team because if DC does one thing really well, it's that it has a good stable of really quirky, fun villains, and when you bring them together and you have them interact and work off each other, it's usually a lot of fun. They did it really well in Batman the Animated Series, and a lot of those episodes are highly regarded as some of the best episodes in the series. Well, I guess I should address the elephant in the room here, because this movie has some very saucy moments. There is a very blatant sex scene between Deadshot and Harley Quinn about a quarter of the way through the movie, and it kind of caught me off guard because I don't think that's happened in any of the DC movies I've seen. I'm pretty sure I've seen them all. I should also mention I noticed a lot of cursing in this movie. So it makes me wonder if DC is maybe trying to make these movies a lot more adult-oriented. They're trying to, you know, go up from being silly movies about superheroes to, you know, being a little more gritty, a little more violent, and but still kind of being very tongue-in-cheek. So there are not many, but a few very raunchy moments in this, so just be ready for that when it happens. A lot of violence in this too. I mean, it's a Batman story, so you gotta expect that, because there's head explosions and a lot of shooting, a lot of fights. The final scene of the movie is a big fight between the inmates of Arkham and the police. And what's cool about that is that you get to see all the Batman villains in their Arkham design, so I thought that was pretty cool. Now there's two things I really didn't like about this movie. One was the soundtrack, because for some reason they decided to include this really loud, really blatant, like, techno club music. Like, there's a scene where you see the Suicide Squad getting together and getting their gear and putting it on, and they're just blasting this techno music, and it's really loud too. I actually had to turn my sound down for it, and it's just so out of nowhere, and it's very out of place, and it's like the Matrix, you know, when they're just walking and all of a sudden you hear. It was very unfitting, and because it was so loud, it was just very unenjoyable. And because of that, just prepare to adjust your volume if you're gonna watch. The other thing is about someone I haven't talked about yet, right? Batman. Where the heck was Batman? He wasn't even in half of this movie, but his name is on the title, so what the hell? In the first half, he shows up for like 2 very brief scenes. Then for the second half, he's seen a little bit more. Well, technically he's seen a lot, but I won't spoil why, although you'll probably be able to figure it out. But yeah, Batman was hardly in this. Why was his name even on the title if he wasn't even in most of the movie? So overall, the good things exceeded the bad things. I did enjoy this movie very much, and I do recommend it, especially if you're a fan of the Arkham series. It had a lot of action, great voice acting. You get to hear Kevin Conroy as Batman again. It was funny, it was very tongue-in-cheek, it was violent, so if you love violence, you got your fix right here. The question is, does it make my top 10 list? Well, I'm not really sure. At best, I could probably give it the 10 spot, but I don't know if it'd be in my top 10 list. It's something I kind of have to think about for a while. But again, I did enjoy it a lot, and I do highly recommend it. The one thing I do have left to say is, DC, can you give Batman a rest for a while? I can't believe I have to say this, but yeah, Batman is starting to lose his momentum. I mean, we've had 3 DC movies this year so far, and 2 of them were Batman. And he was in the other one, so I think we need to give Batman a rest for a while. DC, I love your movies, I love your animated movies, I love your cartoons, but you have a whole universe of superheroes to work off of. You don't need to make everything about Batman or Superman. Give Flash his own movie. Make another Wonder Woman movie. Green Lantern has a whole galaxy of characters to work off of. Just give us something else. Please. And if you're doing this because people like Batman and Superman because it's something familiar, let me just say that this year has proven that the general movie-going public is very accepting of something new. So come on, DC, I believe in you. You can make this happen. You can be as awesome as Marvel if you just try a little hard. That's really all we ask. So that's about all I have for this. If you've seen it already, let me know what your thoughts are. Let me know what you thought about my top 10 list, and let me know what your favorite DC animated movie is. My name is Rob, I'm wonderful, and I'll see you next time.